Today I am with Micah Thompson, and she works as a law professor at UMKC. Micah, would you like to tell us more about yourself?
Sure. I am a law professor at UMKC. I have been doing that for about 10 years. Before I started teaching, I was a practicing attorney. I still have my law license, but I don't actively practice law. And I graduated from law school almost 20 years ago now.
Wow. You don't look like you're that old.
Thank you.
So, sure. How did you get to where you are now? Maybe a little more specifically, some of the steps you took to get here.
Well, I actually knew I wanted to be a lawyer from when I was pretty young. I was about 9
Oh,
when I
wow.
decided. I based it on off of TV. So I saw lawyers on TV and they were in court, and that looked really cool. But I still think it was divine because I ended up doing it, and I think it's what I'm supposed to do. But I graduated from high school from Sumner Academy over in Kansas City, Kansas, and went to college. I didn't realize that you couldn't go straight to law school. So I tried to major in law when I went to college, but the counselor said, no, you actually have to pick something else. So I picked communications.
Oh,
So I
cool.
completed my undergraduate degree in communications, and then I went straight to law school at Washington University in St. Louis. And it's a 3-year program. So I graduated and I went out to Washington, D.C. actually to practice law because I wanted to go to a big
Oh,
city.
uh-huh.
But it turns out I didn't really like a big city too much.
Really?
So I missed home. So I came back to Kansas City, where I'm from, and practiced law for a few years before I started teaching.
Okay, awesome. What kind of law did you practice?
I, I was an employment lawyer, and so I actually teach
Okay.
employment law now. So
Oh,
as
really?
yeah, I do. As an employment lawyer, you deal with any issues related to usually related to people getting terminated from their jobs,
Oh, right.
representing either the people who've been terminated or their companies who terminated them.
You terminated him.
Yeah,
So that's interesting. There's so many different aspects of law. We
mhm,
all think of the TV lawyer.
exactly. Yeah, but there are some really great things you can do with law that would never involve going into a courtroom because I think you have to be kind of a certain kind of person to want to get up and argue and do that kind of thing. But there are a lot of
Right.
lawyers who negotiate mergers and acquisitions or who do tax law. So there are many different things you can do. You can also work in like a human resources department and never go to court too.
Never go to
Yeah.
court. So yeah, no, that's good to hear. I know I don't know that, so I'm sure some of the students won't. So, um, as part of your daily work, what is your favorite part of your job?
Well, so I get to be a teacher, full time.
Oh,
So that's pretty cool. So the best part of my job is interacting with my students and talking with them about sometimes, concepts that are kind of difficult and hard to understand, and then seeing the light bulb go off when they get it. That's all very exciting. As far as being a lawyer, what was I think most exciting to me was getting to go to court and handle cases or to do hearings in front of judges. I really like that kind of thing a lot. It doesn't really happen too often, even for lawyers who want to work in the courtroom. Most civil cases settle out of court, so you don't get to go to court too often. So it's very exciting when you get to go.
okay. Oh, I bet. Yeah, that would be kind of cool. And what is your least favorite thing?
Hmm. Well, my least favorite thing about being a law professor is what I'm doing right now, which is grading exams. So, in law school, generally speaking, there's only one test at the end of the semester. So there's no other measure of how a student, gets a
Oh,
grade except for a single final exam. And so that
oh,
exam takes 3 or 4 hours to complete. And if you can
oh
imagine,
my.
after 3 or 4 hours, it's pretty long. It's like a long essay. And so I have to grade all of those. And I have 117 to grade. They each
Oh,
take about
wow.
30 to 40 minutes. And so it's been rough, but I have 10 left. So
Oh,
that's the
oh,
most difficult part of
that's
my job now.
I
Um,
bet.
as a lawyer, though, the one of the more difficult things for me was actually kind of the conflict. Even though I really like to, go to court and argue in front of judges, I didn't like having conflict with opposing counsel and disagreements and that kind of thing. And that happens a lot for with lawyers who are litigators.
Right,
Yeah.
definitely. So, well, yeah, I figure every other person in education, grading is their least
Yeah.
favorite.
Right. Right.
So, What was the very first job that you had?
So the first job I ever had was working at Camelot Music, which I don't think
Oh,
exists anymore. It was a music store in the Oak Park Mall. And I got the
okay.
job when I was 18. My parents did not want me to work while I was in high school. So they only let me get a job once I graduated from high school.
Okay.
So the summer before college, I worked at Camelot Music, and I there were these things called CDs and tapes. We stocked the shelves with them. I mean, it's all just, foreign, I think, to younger
Yeah.
people now, but it was a big deal,
Oh,
so
yeah.
it was a
That
fun
would
job. I love music, so it was perfect for
oh,
me.
that would have been great. What did
Yeah.
you learn from that job
You
that
know,
helped you in the future?
I think the one thing that I learned was how to interact with people outside of my friends and family. I had
Mhm.
never, had interactions with people that I actually didn't really choose to be around, right? People in
Right.
the workplace,
Mhm.
their personalities that don't get along. So I kind of figured out how to get along with people and navigate, difficult relationships. And so that was pretty valuable. We also got free concert tickets, which was probably the best thing about
Oh.
that job. So
Yeah. That would have been really cool.
that's pretty awesome. So
Everybody wants to go to work there if only it existed.
exactly, I know. Yeah.
Micah, how would you define success?
So, I think success is kind of combining what you're really good at and what you love to do. So, I don't think success has anything to do with money. I think a lot of people think that, but I've had the opportunity to actually make really good salaries, but the jobs were not great. And I was unhappy. So I was, making a lot of money, but very unhappy. So I think that success is finding that balance. So doing something that you love, having someone pay you to do it, great, and being really good at it. That's it's perfect. So that is what I think a successful career is, and that's what I think students ought to shoot for. Find what you love to do, and then figure out how you can make money at it. And also make sure that you're good at it, because you may love to sing, but you might not be that good at singing, so that wouldn't be a great career choice for you, right? So it's
Exactly.
kind of connecting up what you're good at and what you love to do.
Yeah, that's a great answer. So I love that the majority of people I've interviewed, nobody's success was to make a lot of money.
Yeah.
And I think after you get into the workforce, you realize that there's more important things.
Definitely.
So what advice would you give students to help them prepare for a career in law?
So for students who may be thinking about law school, and I know that it's hard to know, even what it means to be a lawyer. But what I always tell students is that if you love to read and write, you may be great for law school, because lawyers, like I said, they don't really get to go to court too much, but you will read and write a lot for sure. And you will only get to go to court if you're good at writing motions and briefs and that kind of thing, and conducting legal research. So if you know that you love to read and write, then a career in law might be good for you. The other thing that you should do is, or that you should understand, is what I didn't understand, which is that you can't go straight to law school. You actually have to get an undergraduate degree first. And you could major in anything and go to law school. You could major in exercise science. You could major in engineering and go to law school. But I think it's best to find a major where you can really sharpen those research and writing skills, because you'll be in a really good position to do well in law school.
That's great advice. I'm sure the students will get a lot out of that. So, well, thank you for sharing your story today. We really appreciate it. So,
Absolutely. Thank you for
it
having
will be
me.
fun for everybody to see, to
Yeah,
learn more about law.
absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you.